Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to be ranking all 15 quarterbacks that are going to the NFL Combine for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, these rankings are for the silver and black and the silver and black only. I'm going to be basing them how they fit with Chip Kelly, how the overall team would end up pairing with a Pete Carroll, maybe a John Spytek, Tom Brady. The quarterbacks are scheduled to work out on Saturday, March 1st, and they're going to speak to the media on February 28th. If you're also curious about some of the other days that some of these other players are going to be working out, our entire Chat Sports team is heading down, or heading up to Indy, I guess I should say, to be able to interview some of these players. So just be on the lookout for the entire week. We're getting a lot of interviews from a bunch of different players, a bunch of different coaches. Make sure you're subscribed, because I'm telling you this, the NFL Combine is always a very interesting time, especially for a football team that's going to be out there looking for a quarterback. But this is also really important for a lot of rumors, because this is an opportunity for players, coaches, GMs, head coaches to all start talking, and we're going to have a lot of interesting sound bites throughout the week with a lot of videos on top of that. So to make sure you don't miss anything, make sure you're subscribed. A lot of NFL Combine content coming out from us here. So the way that this is going to go, I'm going to go from 15, and I'm going to work my way down to 1. 1 is the quarterback I want the most, or the most I'm interested in at the Combine. 15 is who I am least interested in. So starting this one off, Memphis quarterback Seth Henigan, and this is just one of those prospects that I'm excited for him to get the opportunity to be able to go 6'3", 215-pounder from Memphis, threw for 25 touchdowns last season. 3,502 yards. When you look at the numbers, there's some good numbers. But then also at the end of the day, I'm looking for a quarterback that I got some belief in. If you want Henigan to be a quarterback 2, that's probably his highest projection. Some might view him as a QB3. 4-year starter with solid college production. I will say does lack true arm talent and is just way too inconsistent on his deep ball, which is really important in Chip Kelly's offense. Does need to stay in the pocket. Not good enough of an athlete to create, which is probably why he comes in here at 15 for me. Let's go to number 14. It is Max Brosmer, and let's be real. Most of these quarterbacks are not QBs that I want the Raiders to draft, but they are QBs that the silver and black could show at least a little bit of interest in. At 6'2", 225 pounds, threw for 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Brosmer is a good college quarterback. He's not going to be somebody, though, that's going to be a starter. If you want to find a good backup, maybe a QB3 to potentially look at on the final day of the draft, that's kind of where Brosmer is the most ideal. Confident quarterback, I'll give him that. When you watch his tape, you think that this is somebody that could get drafted in the first few rounds. Throws with compact, quick release, which you know that I like and I know Brady likes, but is able to get through his progressions quickly, and he needs to be able to learn how to, I think, throw people open a little bit more, but at the end of the day, just not enough talent to get it done in the NFL. Let's go to number 13 here. It is Graham Mertz, quarterback from Florida. Unfortunately for Mertz, he's battled a lot, and I mean a lot of different injuries over the past 3 seasons, which really limited him this past year. I mean, I believe since 2023, he's had a broken collarbone and ACL, multiple different injuries, which sucks because when you watch some tape on Mertz, you could tell that he's got some NFL traits in him. He's got the size, he's got the arm strength, he's got some of that, and basically 5 years of college experience. But the injuries have really hindered his ability to mature as a quarterback. I like his arm strength, I like the quickness, but his mechanics are bad. And I will say, if you draft Mertz, you're going to have to let him sit for 2, maybe 3 years, which is maybe what the Raiders end up doing anyway. But Graham Mertz, a little bit later on, he comes in here at number 13. Let's now look at another Brady, and this is Brady Cook, quarterback from Mizzou. This dude's got talent. You can't really deny the fact that he doesn't have talent. He's got a hell of an arm on him, but man, oh man, if you want a project, this is a Chip Kelly project that if I've ever seen one. 62.6% completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions last year for Missouri. But the thing that scares the hell out of me with Brady Cook is he stares down receivers. When you go and you watch tape, this is somebody where as soon as he calls hike, it kind of reminds me when I was a kid playing on Xbox or PS2, and I said, no matter what, I'm throwing into that receiver as soon as you call hike. When you're on rookie and you're on, the lowest level, you can get away with it. For Brady Cook, he finds himself getting into some really difficult situations, doesn't go through reads very well, is a tough quarterback who can use his legs to pick up first downs, but Brady Cook is a project coming in at number 12. Let's go to number 11 here, and it's Kurtis Rourke, and one of my favorite quarterbacks actually to watch last year was Rourke, because you got to be able to respect the fact that he threw for 29 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and he did this with a torn ACL. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a young man, and you're going to go out there and you're going to put your entire career in jeopardy and to play on the ACL, that's impressive. He has the size at 6'5", 223 pounds. He's got experience, and he put up some pretty good production on, let's face it, an Indiana team that did not have a lot of high expectations. Not afraid of pressure, is a tough player, but to me, he is limited, and I know that he only threw for 5 interceptions. But when the Indiana Hoosiers asked Kurtis Rourke to, go out there and really put the team on his back, he struggled a little bit. And you go look at some of those games where it was clearly Indiana, the Ohio State game is one, where they couldn't rely on their running game. They couldn't rely on Kurtis Rourke to be a game manager. And when they asked him to do a little bit more, he did. He did truly struggle. Coming up next here, though, the top 10 quarterbacks for the Raiders at the Combine. This is realistically when this show gets going. I know that quarterbacks are the main focus here for the Silver and Black, and I know I wanted to be able to paint a picture of some of these top prospects, what I like, what I didn't like about them. But the top 10, this is where this show is about to get going. Speaking of getting it going, sometimes when I get done work, I'm tired, and I don't feel like cooking dinner for me, for Alex. Though I'll always cook dinner for Chuck, and Chuck would be ecstatic if he was able to get a little bit of Factor meals. But I've been using Factor for a long time, and I think a lot of the Raiders Report OGs know that. And if anybody's trying to get started, I need you to listen up right now, because Factor, it's amazing. It's ready. And if anybody out there is ready to optimize their nutrition this year, Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. So you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. For those of you that are wondering, I actually use the Protein Plus one. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients that you trust and convenience that can't be beat. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/FactorPodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. I've been eating Factor for a long time. It's what I use every single day for me, for Alex, depending on what we are trying to achieve, because we are trying to get in better shape for the wedding that's just around the corner. So again, huge shout out to Factor. Those links are available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Let's go to number 10 here on the top quarterbacks that I want the Raiders to look at the Combine, and it's going to be Riley Leonard. He's coming in here at number 10. He's 6'4", he's 216 pounds. I actually liked Leonard a little bit more when I first saw him at Duke, and then he transferred to Notre Dame, and this is another game manager style of quarterback. 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last season for the Fighting Irish, and man, I really wish that we could have had a better performance from him against Ohio State, especially in that natty, but you saw early on, when he was able to use his legs, that's when he's at his best. As soon as you take away his legs, I don't know if he's a good enough thrower to get it done in the NFL on a consistent basis, because his arm talent it's lacking. He's got the size, above average poise and toughness, but even though he does take care of the football, he's going to be a good backup in the league. This isn't really somebody that you want to consider to put on your roster to be your starter. Here's where I would say the other tier gap breaks of these could be potential starters in the NFL. I'm going to go here with number 9. It's going to be Quinn Ewers, and I'll be real. I'm a little bit lower on Ewers than some other people are, but that's just because I'm not really interested in looking at a quarterback that's got a lot of talent, and Ewers does have a lot of talent, but I think that this is just one of those players that every single year we say, Quinn Ewers has this, Quinn Ewers has this, Quinn Ewers has this. Well, sooner or later, I want to see it materialize. And if you want to go on a roller coaster, the roller coaster of Quinn Ewers is absolutely there. The highs, the lows, the peaks and valleys, it's all there, man. Like, some of his tape reminds me a little bit of a Derek Carr, where you watch Carr play, and not similar styles. The styles are totally different. But you watch a game and you go, that guy might be the best quarterback in college football. 2 plays later, you're like, what the hell is that guy doing? That's what Quinn Ewers does. Tons of arm talent, and when I turn on the tape, I see a lazier Jay Cutler. And the footwork is bad. His foot, I mean, he could flick the ball, and it just sails 50 to 60 yards and just super easily. His mechanics are terrible. They need to definitely get a lot of work, but the arm talent is there. But there's also a lot of other players that have a lot of the traits that I like more, and Ewers is tough. He's played through a lot of injuries, but he's also gotten injured a lot in college. Let's go to number 8 here. It's coming in. It's going to be Dillon Gabriel from the Oregon Ducks. Small, undersized quarterback. I can't wait to see what he ends up measuring in at, because I'll be real. If he's 5'11", 204, then shit, I might be 6'4", 250 pounds. Threw for 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions this past year for the Ducks. Is the all-time leader for most passing touchdowns in college football, and he has played a lot, and I mean a lot of different structure, from UCF to Oklahoma to now Oregon, and he is older, smaller quarterback prospect, but he does have tons of game experience. And I was told many months ago that this was a quarterback that the Raiders could potentially look at because of his ability to go out there and execute an offense. Pete Carroll wasn't afraid to draft Russell Wilson. Dillon Gabriel's kind of in that same boat of tons of poise, confident in the pocket, average accuracy, who could struggle throwing the ball down the field, which is something that's very critical in a Chip Kelly offense. Let's now go to a quarterback that is just skyrocketing amongst boards, and is a name that I've been hearing a lot about. It is Tyler Shough, the quarterback from Louisville. And if you told me right now, Mitch, who's the quarterback that you think could go on day 2 of the NFL draft that's going to surprise some people? This is the name, Tyler Shough. He's 6'5", 225 pounds. Actually, one of our guys here at Chat Sports, who I believe is one of the smarter guys in the draft biz, thinks that this is the 3rd best quarterback in this year's class. 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He does have a strong arm. If you're looking for a younger quarterback, this is not going to be your dude. I believe he's going to be 26 years old, 7 years of college football experience overall, just like him being in the game. Had a lot of injuries, which is why he was able to stay in college for so long. But this is somebody that can make any throw on a football field. I mean, deep, intermediate, at the hash, the middle of the field. He can do it all. I will say he struggles against pressure, but if you give Shough a good offensive line, he's going to impress some people. If you give him a bad offensive line, well, just like most quarterbacks, he's going to struggle. Like, you don't give him a good offensive line, he's going to look like Dan Orlovsky. Or I think Dan Orlovsky's might be a halfway decent one. Or Brock Osweiler, I think it'd be another very interesting option. But Tyler Shough does have some upside, and if you're a coaching staff that believes in your coaches and believes in your ability to teach players, Shough is a very interesting option. Let's go to number 6 here. It's going to be Will Howard for Ohio State. I know Will Howard just won a national championship with Chip Kelly. And some people might go, well, how the hell can you put somebody at 6 after they just won a natty? I know this, and I know he's 6'4". He's got the body type that you're looking for in an NFL quarterback. But it's tape that's very inconsistent. On top of that, when Will Howard was asked to be what I would consider the hero, and you got to go out there and you got to be the star of the show, in the playoffs he was playing good ball. But there were times where his weaknesses were really exploited, because when he's got to create inside and out, he can do it. But sometimes he just waits to throw the ball way too long, and he's not quick at going through his reads. Like, you're not going to find at any point, Ohio State every single game was the best team on the field for offensively. And he just waited way too long to throw players open. What scares me about Will Howard is it was almost perfect for him. It was a perfect situation at Ohio State this past season, and he didn't always look perfect. There were games where he went out there and he did his thing. And I know what it looks like with Chip Kelly, but I think Chip Kelly made Will Howard, not Will Howard made Chip Kelly. Before we get into our top 5 quarterbacks at the NFL Combine for the Raiders, Chat Sports team, down in Indy, up in Indy, whatever you want to say. We're sending out, I want to say, 8 to 9 people, and we're going to have an entire team asking coaches, asking players. We're going to be getting a lot of interviews, so make sure you're following Chat Sports on Instagram and Twitter, and if you want to give them a follow on TikTok as well, you can check it out. Lots of content from the Chat Sports team. Let's get into our top 5 now, and I'm going to go with Kyle McCord, and I might be climbing the Kyle McCord train a little bit more. And I like McCord, the prospect, because I think McCord with Chip Kelly would be a very intriguing option. Quite frankly, I think Chip Kelly, for anybody out there that's like, I want Will Howard because Ohio State just won a natty with Chip Kelly and Will Howard. I actually think Kyle McCord's a better quarterback than Howard and would fit better than Chip Kelly's in Chip Kelly's offense. And he played in a pro-style system, whether that was at Ohio State, whether that was at Syracuse this past year, and he attacks the field. Like, this is somebody who wants to put up 50 points every time he steps onto the field, and he isn't afraid to make any throw. I'll admit that true gunslinger mentality does get him in trouble sometimes and forces him into some bad turnovers, but if you were to get a Kyle McCord, let him learn for a year or two, that is a really fun option and a quarterback that you might be able to get on early day 3, late round 3. Let's go to number 4, and this is a quarterback that I know a lot of people love. It's Jaxson Dart. I'm still not fully sold on Dart, quite frankly. The more and more I watch these quarterbacks, Kyle McCord and Jaxson Dart are getting closer and closer, but I do think that Dart and Chip Kelly would be fun, and if I was Dart, one of the number 1 people I'd want to play with in terms of like actually having a chance to start would be Chip Kelly and the Las Vegas Raiders. 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions last season for the Rebels. 6'2", 225 pounds, so he's got the size. A 3-year SEC starter, which I like, but the thing that I like even more, you saw him get better and better and better, and you saw the production, the team get better and better and better. I want a quarterback that's coachable because no matter what, I think the QB that the Raiders bring in is going to have to learn for a year or two. And if you don't show me the ability to get better and better and better, well, then quite frankly, I'm not interested. Dart's not anywhere close to being ready to play right away, but he can quickly go through his progressions, and I think the way that his style of offense and his skill set, because he can tuck and run, and he can get up the field. That does help out Chip Kelly. But that lazy footwork and the mechanics are what really hurt him trying to throw the football really, really far down the field. He can hit the inseam route, but on the outside, that's where Jaxson Dart sometimes struggles, and that's why he's coming in here at number 4. Let's go to number 3 here. I'm going to go with Jalen Milroe, who is by far, and it's not close, the best athlete at the quarterback position. Hell, he might be one of the best athletes at the NFL Combine overall. He's 6'2", he's 225 pounds. He's built like a linebacker. I mean, this is a linebacker playing quarterback, a running back, a big bruising running back playing QB. When I watch his tape, I watched his 2023 tape, and it was much better, especially he showed the ability to throw down the field. If Milroe can't throw the ball down the field, he's just not good enough to be able to get it done in the NFL. The reason why guys like a Russell Wilson succeeded because he was able to throw the ball down the field. Jalen Hurts able to throw the ball down the field. That needs to get going, and he does lack accuracy, though. When he was first coming out in college, I actually thought that he was a decent passer. I wonder if losing Nick Saban really impacted Jalen Milroe taking a huge step back, but if he doesn't show you that he can get better at decision-making inside the pocket, he's not good enough right now to be able to get it done. But we're talking projects, and there's nobody, and I mean nobody, that you can do everything right as a defensive coordinator, and yet it still doesn't matter because that's how good of an athlete Jalen Milroe is. You let Milroe learn for a year or two with Chip Kelly, I'm just saying, sky's the limit. Let's go to number 2 here, and it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. And Sanders has been the number 1 quarterback linked to the Raiders all offseason long. Heck, even during the regular season. We know that Tom Brady and Shedeur have a solid relationship, and Sanders has not made it a secret, neither has Dion. This is a Shedeur wants to be a Raider. Dion wants him to be a Raider, right? Like, these are all things that we know. And the more and more reports that continuously come out, I really think Shedeur could be available to the Silver and Black at number 6. But why do people like Shedeur? He plays with a lot of confidence. He's got composure, and he keeps his eyes down the field. It's important in the NFL that whatever quarterback you bring in, they got to have it between the ears, and I do think Sanders does have it between the ears. I like his pocket awareness. He is an accurate quarterback. He is the technically most accurate quarterback ever in NFL or in college football history. Average arm talent, when you watch Shedeur throw next to Cam Ward, Shedeur looks like he's throwing an 86-mile-an-hour fastball compared to Cam Ward's 95. I mean, it's that much of a difference, and he's also an average athlete at QB. If you don't have a good offensive line, Shedeur's going to struggle. But the plan for the Raiders and Tom Brady is to draft a QB, let him learn for a year or two, and it wouldn't surprise me if Sanders is the quarterback that they go with. But number one coming in here, and it's the top QB for the Raiders that they should watch at the Combine, it is Cam Ward. There was an interesting report that came out on Monday, February 24th, that the Raiders could potentially be interested in moving up for Ward. I still don't know if that's going to happen, but Cam, to me, is the number one quarterback in this year's class. He is the only QB that I would feel confident starting in year one. And I also said, if you told me which quarterback would I love to pick with Chip Kelly, it's Cam frickin' Ward, man. He is a gunslinger with good size, a big arm, and that mobility, which, again, I don't need a quarterback to tuck it and run to pick up a first down on a design run. I need a quarterback on 3rd down and 10 to go through his progressions quickly, and when a play breaks down, he's able to scramble and pick up a first. That's what Cam Ward can do. He's smart. You can see his pre-snap recognition, his ability to be able to change things at the line, which is really important for Tom Brady. My biggest thing that I don't like about Ward is he tries to hit the home run too often. And maybe he was trying to hit the home run at Miami because he wasn't confident in that defense because he knew that they had to put up points. But sometimes you got to be able to take that 5-yard pickup, the 3-yard pickup, instead of always looking for the 25-yard gain. But Cam Ward and Chip Kelly, I'm telling you right now, that is a recipe for success in the NFL. So one more time here, let's go through these top quarterbacks at the NFL Combine, and there's no secret. Every single one of these QBs in some way or sort is going to be linked to the Raiders over the next week, which is why I wanted to make this video. So I wanted to be able to provide context on my top 15 quarterbacks, and these are the only 15 quarterbacks that are going to go to the Combine, but I already knew that I was going to get asked about certain names, so I just wanted the nation to know ahead of time how I would rank the 15 QBs for the Las Vegas Raiders at the Combine from top all the way down to bottom. Reminder, if you ever want to interact with me on social media, I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. And if there's anything else that you maybe think that I missed on some of these other QBs, seriously, if you made it this far in the video, don't be shy. Let me know. The Combine's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of questions, a lot of things going around. And we will have the interviews for John Spytek and Pete Carroll actually on this YouTube channel. I don't want you to miss that, so make sure you subscribe.